a blessed song of love eternal, gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal, gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal, gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me. Dark
Good morning all, and welcome to this Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charleston, West Virginia. Welcome to this virtual sanctuary space of our beloved UUC. We are so glad you are with us today on this Sunday morning when we celebrate the winter solstice, much as our beloved pagan group Spiral Moon Gove did yesterday evening. So a few things about this service. One, it might go just a little longer. Like this is the longest night. This may be one of our longer services. I kind of am amused that that worked out that way. We have a couple of beautiful stories for you today and some lovely music. And I think it's going to be a good service. If you are with us on Zoom, I am hoping that many of you are also going to notice something new in the service, which is closed captions at the bottom of your screen. I believe you can only see that if you're on Zoom and not on Facebook, unfortunately, but I hope that you are seeing these closed captions if you are with us on Zoom. And I believe you should have the ability to fiddle with those to make the text larger or smaller or hide it from yourself, depending on your preferences. But we're very excited about this new accessibility possibility of closed captions. So, good morning. I am the Reverend Caitlin Cotter Coilberg, minister of this congregation, and I am so excited. I'm joined for this service by our Children's Religious Exploration Coordinator, Jocelyn Crawford, who's going to be doing a reading and has put together a couple of the two stories that we're doing today. And of course, as usual, joined by our fabulous tech folks. We've got Neil Chakrabarty, we've got Matt Connolly, and I believe that Bill Kressner is also going to be joining our tech team. So, as always, there's an open invitation to folks who would like to get involved with worship. If you want to be a virtual usher, if you want to offer a reading or a reflection, especially, for January 3rd, I'm really hoping to have some more voices in the service offering reflections on what we've learned during this pandemic time, this 2020. So as we begin now, all our virtual services with an invitation to generosity. Neil, can you put up that first slide, please? There we go. Dear ones, it is your giving that sustains this congregation, that keeps us open even in these pandemic times, even as we take on unprecedented challenges and we do community in unprecedented ways. So I invite you now to take a moment and go get out your checkbook or your PayPal app, pull up the donation page on our website, whichever way is best for you to give, and to give in support of this work, of this bastion of liberal and progressive religion and spirituality here in the heart of Appalachia. Give in support of our mission. I invite you to give until it feels good. And in this moment, I invite you to take a second and grab a candle that you can light during our chalice lighting in this service. And while you're doing that, a few brief reminders. First, today is the last day to get in your pictures for our Christmas Eve service. So I sent out this invitation. I invite you to take a selfie in a dark room with yourself holding a candle, or if selfies really aren't your thing, to just take a picture of a candle somewhere in your home. You can do this as a family, as an individual. You can go outside with your candle. I just really inviting you to send in your pictures so that we can be with each other in that way for our Christmas Eve service this week. Can you believe Christmas Eve is already this week? It's almost 2021. What? Remember too to email me about any epiphanies you have had this year. So just like a one sentence being like, this year I realized that my cat is a jerk, or I realized that what is most important to me in life is my connection with my friends, or whatever you have realized or learned about yourself this year. I'm also looking for one or two more folks to offer a longer reflection in the service. So if you hear that and you're like, actually, once I say, my epiphany this year is, I have a whole bunch to say. Please let me know. We still have room for one or two more reflections in our January 3rd service. Also, exciting news, the shirt order that has been printed and my parents have picked it up down in Tennessee. And with luck, my parents will be driving up on Monday with those t-shirts. And then our lay leaders, Angie Cavender and Deborah Beatty, will be working on getting those ready to pick up, I think, on Tuesday. So the t-shirts are, with luck, on their way. As we know, these are unprecedented times. So we're crossing our fingers. My parents can get safely here with those shirts, and that then we can start handing those out this week. So be on the alert for more emails about that. And if you are not on our email listserv and are tuning in for the first time, you can reach out to us to get onto our email page. Our administrator is still on maternity leave, so we may be a little slower to get you onto our email listserv, but please email uucharlestonoffice@gmail.com. And now at this time, I invite you to listen to this invitation, this ask from Solutions-Oriented Addictions Response, one of our community partners. So an ask for the holiday season from SOAR and their partners.
Hey friends, this is Reverend Zachary Morton with West Virginia Faith Leaders for Choice. And we're putting together a drive for menstrual products to support a local organization in Charleston called SOAR. That's a harm reduction program. And I'm gonna introduce you to Stephen Smith and Iksha Vega and special volunteer Joe, who's gonna share with you more about SOAR and about this opportunity for us to provide for some of our most vulnerable people in West Virginia.
My name is Joe Solomon. I'm a volunteer with SOAR. SOAR is short for Solutions-Oriented Addiction Response. And we're a community group based in Charleston, West Virginia that works really hard to save lives and challenge stigma in relation to the overdose crisis. We got started about 2 years ago distributing naloxone, having anti-stigma workshops, having community meetings, and we are now the largest naloxone distributor in the county and the largest harm reduction program in the county. We see about 400 people a month when we're free and able to do so. And we help people get connected with services, get connected with recovery coaches, get these menstrual products that y'all are donating, and access naloxone, sterile equipment, and did I mention HIV testing? And today they're getting flu shots. And I think that's going to be a new staple for flu season. And snacks, masks, sanitizers, anyway, all the cool things that you would want to survive this pandemic and that you deserve, and just the care and dignity that everyone deserves, but especially people that are living outside or are poorly housed. And sometimes really, every smile counts with that population of neighbors. So we set up these pop-up health fairs every 2 weeks. And when we can serve people with menstrual products and safer sex supplies and people that are familiar with those products and can offer trainings and mentorship and referrals and so on, it just makes a really big difference.
Hi, I'm Stephen Smith with West Virginia Can't Wait. We're so proud to be a part of this partnership supporting SOAR here in Charleston, a grassroots harm reduction program that is saving lives. You can help too, whether it's winter clothes or other products to help people survive in this environment, in this pandemic. We could really use your help.
And I'm Ixia with Planned Parenthood South Atlantic, and we are trying to make sure that all West Virginians have the products that they need, regardless of race, sexual orientation, or economic status. We have these great menstrual cups that we're trying to hand out to folks to make sure that they not only have the products that they need, but the products that their body needs. So we want to make sure that this doesn't stop, so y'all can definitely help out with this and make sure that everyone has what they need.
Thank you.
So friends, the way that you can help provide these products for some of our most vulnerable citizens of West Virginia is to go onto an Amazon wish list that we've set up. And you'll get a link to that Amazon wish list through your congregation, through communications. And you just go onto that Amazon wish list, pick out some things, items that you'd like to donate, and they'll be sent directly to SOAR Harm Reduction Program here in Charleston, West Virginia. And in this way, we partner across the state during this holiday season to provide these necessary products to folks who really need them. So we thank you so much for your compassion and generosity during this time as we build these partnerships and care for one another together. Thank you, friends.
And I have put the link to that in the comment box, both on Facebook and on Zoom, if you are ready to give. And for those of you with us on Zoom, I invite you, as you are comfortable and able, to move to gallery view. And if you're comfortable and able, turning on a camera to wave hello. Hello, dear ones. It is so good to see your faces. Reminder that you can type in the chat box your hellos and your answer to the question. So today we're thinking about nighttime and about winter. So I wonder, what is your favorite winter nighttime activity? Is it stargazing? I know there's a lot of people stargazing this week with some cool planetary alignments happening. I think is it Jupiter and Saturn? Something like that. Invite you as you are on Zoom. You can wave. Remember, this means I love you in American Sign Language. Or we can hug each other by placing our arms on our chests. It is so good to see your faces. I know it's tough not getting to see each other in person, and it's so definitely stargazing. Jean, yes, such a good winter activity. I miss that I used to live at a UU retreat center on top of a mountain, and the stargazing there. Oh, so good. We would climb the tower and stargaze. In the winter, not for very long. You'd kind of go up. You'd be like, I have gazed. Okay, going down now. But so gorgeous. Howdy, Drew. So good to see all of you today. So grateful for all of those who have joined us for the service, however you are with us. Reading under a blanket. Yes, Laura. Fabulous activity. Taking walks on winter mornings. So beautiful. Yeah. Dog snuggling. Dog snuggling is excellent. I miss that. I miss our dog who died last year. Wonderful. Well, I'm going to invite us now to enjoy a piece of music offered to us by our fabulous music director, Hannah Clark, and Hannah's younger sibling, Hunter. So please join me in enjoying this piece of music prepared for us.
William, bring your rounded drum and your long flute, Robin, come. And be merry while you play. Tooraloo, patter, patter, pan. Come, be merry while you play. Let us make our solstice gay. Sun and earth have now become more in tune than flute and drum. So be merry while you play. Tooraloo, patter, patter, pan. So be merry while you play. Sing and dance this solstice day.
All right, good morning, everyone. For anyone who I've not been able to meet yet, I'm Jocelyn, and I'm the Religious Education Coordinator for the kids here at UUC. So you're going to hear my voice today in the two stories about the solstice during the service, and I'm going to offer this opening reading to you. This is The Moment of Magic by Victoria E. Safford. Now is the moment of magic, when the whole round earth turns again toward the sun. And here's a blessing. The days will be longer and brighter now, even before the winter settles in to chill us. Now is the moment of magic, when people beaten down and broken, with nothing left but misery and candles and their own clear voices, kindle tiny lights and whisper secret music. And here's a blessing. The dark universe is suddenly illuminated by the lights of the menorah, suddenly ablaze with the lights of the Kinara, and the whole world is glad and loud with winter singing. Now is the moment of magic, when an eastern star beckons the ignorant toward an unknown goal. And here's a blessing. They find nothing in the end but an ordinary baby, born at midnight, born in poverty, And the baby's cry, like bells ringing, makes people wonder as they wander through their lives what human love might really look like, sound like, feel like. Now is the moment of magic. And here's a blessing. We already possess all the gifts we need. We've already received our presents. Ears to hear music, eyes to behold lights, hands to build true peace on earth, and to hold each other tight in love.
Amber called her uncle, said we're up here for the holiday. Jane and I were having solstice, now we need a place to stay. And her Christ-loving uncle watched his wife hang Mary from the tree. He watched his son hang candy canes, all made with red dye number 3. He told his niece it's Christmas Eve. I know our life is not your style. She said, Christmas is like solstice, and we miss you, and it's been a while. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground the best that they were able. And just before the meal was served, hands were held and prayers were said, sending hope for peace on earth to all their gods and goddesses. The food was great, the tree plugged in, the meal had gone without a hitch, till Timmy turned to Amber and said, Is it true that you're a witch? His mom jumped up and said, The pies are burning, and she hit the kitchen, and it was Jane who spoke and said, It's true, your cousin's not a Christian. But we love trees, we love the snow, the friends we have, the world we share. And you find magic in your God, and we find magic everywhere. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground the best that they were able. And where does magic come from? I think magic's in the learning, 'cause now when Christians sit with pagans, only pumpkin pies are burning. When Amber tried to do the dishes, her aunt said, really no, don't bother. Amber's uncle saw how Amber looked like Tim and like her father. He thought about his brother, how he hadn't spoken in a year. He thought he'd call him up and say, it's Christmas and your daughter's here. He thought of fathers, sons, and brothers, saw his own son tug his sleeve, saying, can I be a pagan? Dad said, we'll discuss it when they leave. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground the best that they were able, lighting trees in darkness, learning new ways from the old, making sense of history and drawing warmth out of the cold. I offer you these chalice-lighting words by Reverend Cynthia Landrum. In the bleak and cold winter, we gather ourselves in to light the fire, to warm our spirits, to kindle the flame of love and hope. And I invite you now to enjoy our first story with me.
This is a winter solstice story about the Yule fairies. Come with me on a journey now to a faraway place and time, a place of magic and mystery and story, where the fairies, elves, and gnomes live and breathe and have their being. Once upon a time, there was a group of fairies who lived under the roofs of a giant oak tree. They lived there safe and snug underground in a tiny cave. The fairies were named Rose, Daffodil, Meadowgrass, Lilac, and Elder Blossom. Outside, the winter wind blew cold and the snow fell softly down to cover the ground. I saw the Sun King today, the fairy named Rose said. He looked very old and tired as he walked off through the forest. What is wrong with him? The great oak said that he is dying, answered Daffodil. Dying? Oh no, what will we do? Cried little Meadowgrass. If the Sun King dies, our little plant friends will not grow. The birds will not come out and sing again. Winter will go on forever. The other fairies tried to comfort their friend Meadowgrass, but they were all very, very sad. As they huddled together, there was a knock on the tiny door. Open up, fairies, called a loud voice. Why are you hiding inside instead of joining us for the solstice celebration? Rose opened the door. And in came a little gnome named Nobby Brown. We are too sad to celebrate, said Daffodil, wiping the tears from her eyes. The Sun King is dying. Haven't you heard? He's already dead. Nobby Brown's round, dark eyes sparkled with laughter. Now hurry, or we'll all be late for the celebration. Elderflower stamped her foot. How can you be always happy and laughing, she said. If the Sun King is dead, it will always be winter. We will never see the sun again. Little fairy children, the secret is in the winter solstice. Come on, don't you want to know what it is? The fairies looked at him in surprise. Secret, they all said. What secret? We've never been to a solstice celebration before. Come and see, come and see. Grab your capes and follow me. Nobby Brown danced and jigged around the room. Hurry, hurry, don't be slow to the sacred grove. We must go through the snow. He danced out the door and disappeared. The fairies left their snug little home to trudge through the snow. Let's see. Listen, said Lilac as they neared the sacred grove. I hear singing. I hear happy sounds. There is a celebration happening. When they entered the sacred grove, they heard the most beautiful music they had ever heard before. Look! Look, said Daffodil, there is the maiden and the mother and the old crone. Everyone is smiling and happy, and all the animals are here too. But why are they all looking at the mother? Said Rose. The fairies moved closer to the three ladies. They noticed that the mother was holding a bundle in her arms. The fairies moved in closer to see, and they saw that she was holding a baby. A baby, the fairies cried, a new little baby. Look how he glows. He is the newborn Sun King, said the maiden, smiling. But Nobby Brown told us, but Nobby Brown and the old oak tree said that the Sun King was dead, the fairies replied. How can this little baby be the Sun King? That is the great secret of the winter solstice, the old wise crone said. Every year the Sun King must come to the sacred grove during the darkest days of winter, and here in this magical place, he dies. I take his spirit to the mother who gives him new life again. This is the way for all creatures, not just the Sun King. You mean everything that lives will die and then live again? The fairies looked in wonder at the baby Sun King. Yes, little ones, said the wise old crone. Life moves in a great circle of birth and living and death and regeneration. It is never ending. This is the great mystical secret of the winter solstice. The fairies were so happy they laughed out loud. I think the little Sun King should have gifts, said Rose. I will show him where the wild roses bloom in the early summer. And I will teach him to call the birds and listen to the songs of the wind, exclaimed Daffodil. When he is older and stronger, said the mother, then the flowers will bloom at his touch. The birds will return to sing their songs, and the air will be warm from his breath, and winter will be gone for a time. Then the Sun King will run and play with you in the forest. The little fairies sang to the baby Sun King, singing songs of the coming spring, the sweet-smelling flowers, the bumbling bees, and all the secrets of the forest. All the creatures within the sacred grove sang with them. And then they journeyed back to their snug little cave under the great oak tree, where they dreamed wonderful dreams of the warmth of spring and the bees and the trees and the flowers. And they dreamt of the fun they would have with the little Sun King.
Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit. Earth, my body, water, my blood, air, my breath, and fire, my spirit.
Thank you for singing along to that beautiful chant, and thank you, Jocelyn, for the fun story. At this time, I invite you to read aloud with me our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of our faith, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And I offer you this reading by the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker on winter solstice. Perhaps, she wrote, for a moment the typewriters will stop clicking, the wheels stop rolling, the computers desist from computing, and a hush will fall over the city. For an instant, in the stillness, the chiming of the celestial spheres will be heard as Earth hangs poised in the crystalline darkness and then gracefully tilts. Let there be a season when holiness is heard and the splendor of living is revealed. Stunned to stillness by beauty, we remember who we are and why we are here. There are inexplicable mysteries. We are not alone. In the universe, there moves a wild one whose gestures alter Earth's axis towards love. In the immense darkness, everything spins with joy. The cosmos unfold around us. We are caught in a web of stars, cradled in a swaying embrace, rocked by the holy night, babes of the universe. Let this be the time we wake to life, like spring wakes in the moment of winter solstice. I invite you to enjoy a second story put together by our fabulous CRE coordinator, Jocelyn, and then invite you to sing along for our second winter chant.
Deep down in the belly of the night, dream deep winter dreams, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, still as a seed, still as a seed. Deep down in the belly of the night, deep down in the winter nights, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, still as a seed, still down in the belly of the night, deep down in the belly of the night, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms.
This is the story of Tomten. Scandinavian children have long heard the tales of Tomten wandering through the farm and into the house, how he comes for his regular visit, looking after the animals and watching over the inhabitants, occasionally stopping to ponder the deeper questions of life. Here is the story of Tomten. Midwinter night's cold is hard. Stars glimmer and gleam. All sleeps deep in quiet yard, deep in a midnight dream. Snow shines white on fence and spruce. Moonbeams bright on snow-capped roofs. Moonstreams hush near a frozen lake. Only Tomten is awake. Gray he stands beside the door, gray against the driven snow, puzzling, as before, so many winter moons would know. He stares at forest, spruce and pine. He stares, a question in his mind. His hand to chin he brings to tap, shakes his head, pulls off his cap, scratches beard, rakes through hair, and mutters something in the air. I cannot solve this mystery. Nope, this one is too hard for me. Leaving the question, turns with haste. I've work to do, no time to waste. He walks by the storage, walks by the shed, checks all the locks, looks over the sty, checks to see if the crows have been fed, off to the stables, turns with a sigh. Cows dream in moonlight, snow all aglow, dream of summer sunlight in the meadows below. The horse dreams also, free of bit, harness, and bit. Alone he sleeps in a stable moonlit. Dreams that hay he now leans over is really fresh and fragrant clover. Tomten sees the little lambs and sheep, sees how peaceful and quiet they sleep. Inside the hen house, as still as a church, not even a rooster looks up from his perch. He walks by Max the dog, sleeping sound in the hay. Max wakes and wags his tail. Max shakes his coat as if to say, hello, my friend. He knows Tomten well. At last, Tomten enters the house. The rooms are quiet as a mouse. Then off to the children's room he tiptoes, tip-tap, tippy-tap as he goes. Tompton looks in on the good girls and boys, sees them all dreaming his cherished of joys. He sees them this way from father to son as sleeping children, but from where do they come? He sees them this way from dusk to dawn. They blossom, they bloom, they age, and they're gone. The riddle returns to tease him again, a question of the beginning and end. Generations come and generations go. Where do they come from and where do they go? Tompton wanders back out to the farm. Hay smells like perfume inside the barn. He sees cat asleep, purring there. Sees swallow's nest, empty and bare. He yearns for earth to return to spring, yearns for swallow to return and sing. Love songs of his favorite kind, tales of rebirth to renew Tompton's mind. Moonbeams peek through slits in walls. One streaks across his beard. The streak upon his beard is shining, the question on his brow undying. Quiet is the forest, and under its floor, all life out there is frozen. Yet far away on a distant shore, water laps, the silence is broken. Tompton, half in a dream of rhythm and rhyme, thinks he hears the stream of time. Tompton wonders and wants to know, where does it come from and where does it go? Midwinter's night's cold is hard. Stars glimmer and gleam. All sleeps in a quiet yard, deep in a morning dream. Snow shines white on fence and spruce, moonbeams bright on snow-capped roofs. Moonstreams hush near a frozen lake. Only Tompton is awake.
Deep down in the belly of the night, dream deep winter dreams, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, still as a seed, still as a seed. Deep down in the belly of the night, deep down in the winter dreams, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, still as a seed, still down in the belly of the night, deep down in the winter dreams, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, still as a seed, still down in the belly of the night, deep down in the belly of the night, and lie safe down in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe down in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, still down as a belly of the night, still down as a winter dreams, and lie safe down in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe down in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms, still down as a belly of the night, still down as a winter dreams, and lie safe down in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe down in your grandmother's arms, and lie safe in your grandmother's arms.
Each week we light a candle for those affected by COVID-19, which is all of us and some of us more than others. As I light this candle, I invite you to type in the chat box, either on Zoom, on Facebook, who or what you are holding in your heart today. I know as I light this candle, which symbolizes our grief, I am feeling just how heavy and hard the weight of grief can be in the holiday season every year, and extra this year. This is a tough time for so many folks, and even the most normal of year, and this year is anything but normal. So I want to remind you that all of our grieving is real, however big or small your grief may seem to you, however old or new the pain on your heart. I hope that you feel seen and heard and loved this season as we all grieve together and apart. And we hold the people of London who are struck by a new COVID version, and the people on our own West Coast where ICU beds are full, all the suffering of the sickness and dying, all the suffering of the sick and dying, and those who love them. We feel that this season. Feel free to continue typing in the chat box as I offer you this winter solstice meditation by Lynn Cox. And before we hear these words by Lynn Cox, I invite you to enter into the spirit of meditation. You may wish perhaps to rest your feet on the floor or your hands in your lap, may wish to close your eyes or rest them on the light, either our chalice flame or whatever candle you have lit in your own space. Here, Winter Solstice Meditation by Reverend Lynn Cox. We pause as the path of the sun reverses, seemingly holding its place for a moment of turning. Let us delve into the gifts of darkness at the winter solstice. We follow curiosity and contemplation down into the cold earth, taking a journey to the world below the surface. Here we find acorns, catched by squirrels and chipmunks, perhaps to be food later in store, or perhaps to become trees in the fullness of time. We find the burrows of hibernating animals, those who sleep and repair. We find seeds, including some that will not sprout unless they first wait through frost and ice. Life finds rest and renewal in the darkness. May those who are weary find comfort. May those who are struggling find meaning and companionship. May those who are injured or ill find recovery. May those who hunger find abundance. Let this be a time of healing, and may the dreams of the dark lead us to share these gifts with one another. Our imagination rises back to the surface, to life where the cold ground meets the crisp air. Here we observe life finding its way. We observe animals eating seeds left on the ground, though the harvest is long past. We notice the migration of birds, natural movements that allow populations to find places where they can thrive. We observe the trees that appear to sleep and yet hold sap that will rise again before the spring arrives. We observe that not everything lives through the winter, and yet all that has lived returns to the earth and is transformed. Let this be a time of resilience. May the changing seasons bring new meaning and new insights. May creativity and persistence lead us to find resources for all to share. May those who migrate find safety, and may there be good news in the wind. May transformation lead us onward. We now lift our imagination to the sky, to the returning sun, and to the brilliant winter night. Shifting hours of light and darkness remind us that change is part of the rhythm of the universe, and so trouble does not last. Acknowledging the gifts of darkness, we also look forward to the growing light, a change that brings glimmers of hope. We marvel at the beauty of this time. Stars unobstructed by leaves, jewels of the night shining over the land, moon and meteor inspiring us to awe and wonder. Let this be a time of celebration. What joy can be found? Let us hold it close, blow on its embers, and share its spark. We do not take for granted having come this far, and we give thanks for our companions on the journey. we continue our meditation in silence. Please join me in silence for a moment, holding all of the gifts, all of the griefs of this season, holding our unhoused neighbors and all those who are strangers in a strange land, all those afflicted with COVID, all those witnessing gifts and grief. Blessed be. And I invite you now to join me in singing along to our meditative hymn. When I was 16 or 17, I had a conversation with one of my high school teachers that has stuck with me ever since. We all have those moments, right, that just stick with us. I was talking with my teacher, Miss Karen Nunley Duran. We all called her Nunley, the head of the dance department at my little performing arts and sciences high school down in Tennessee. And I was complaining about February. I said something about how much I hated the month, how dreary it was, how even though technically it was the shortest on the calendar, it felt like the longest and I just wanted it to be over. I maybe joked about wishing I could just skip the month altogether. I expected her to say something joking in return or commiseration about how difficult the winter months can be or something flippant. Instead, she paused and looked at me squarely and said, "Caitlin, don't wish your life away. Don't wish your life away." Oof, right? I've been thinking about that. It stuck with me, like I said, and I've been thinking about it especially this year. And as we near the end of 2020 with the winter months spread out before us. After all, this week, the solstice marks the beginning of winter. We're just starting this season. And while vaccines for COVID have been approved and are beginning to be distributed in hospitals and places like Edgewood Summit, I'm so excited that our beloveds in places like Edgewood Summit are starting to get inoculated against this virus and our beloveds in healthcare. It's going to take a long time, though, before everyone has access to the vaccine. And you remember the vaccine takes 2 doses, which are 4 weeks apart, and then it's 2 weeks after your second dose that the vaccine really sets in place. So the being vaccinated is a 6-week process. And even if everything goes really well with the vaccine, it will be many months before all of us have access to it, before all of us can get vaccinated. I am looking forward to starting that 6-week process, and I am well aware that I am at the very back of the queue, right? That I won't get vaccinated until summer at the earliest, and that others are in a similar place. It is so exciting that vaccination has begun. As one of my ER nurse friends put when he posted about getting his shot, I hope this is the beginning of the end of COVID-19. If we are lucky, it will be safe for us all to gather as a congregation, all of us together again in the fall. But we've got 3 seasons ahead of us before fall arrives. We've still got to get to February, and we've got another virtual Easter service in April on the horizon, another virtual Earth Day service, right? Another virtual Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly in June, more virtual things for all of us in the next months. As the metaphor goes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but we are still in the tunnel, the long, dark tunnel. So what do we do with that? With the real and metaphorical darkness still stretching before us? For one thing, I think we always have to wrestle, in this season especially, wrestle with the metaphor of darkness always being a negative one, right? Like, I've often quoted to y'all, and I'm going to quote it again, this wonderful piece by Unitarian Universalist religious educator Jackie James, who wrote for the collection Been in the Storm So Long, which our own Mel Hoover has a piece in, by the way, on dark and light. In that piece, she calls out the way black and white are coded into our language, how good guys usually wear white while bad guys wear black, how we fear black cats while it's okay to tell a white lie, and great to be pure as the driven snow. Well, devil's food cake is chocolate and angel's food cake is white. We shape language and are shaped by it, Miss James wrote. In our culture, white is esteemed. It is heavenly, sun-like, clean, pure, immaculate, innocent, and beautiful. At the same time, black is evil, wicked, gloomy, depressing, angry, sullen. Ascribing negative and positive values to black and white enhances the institutionalization of this culture's racism. She urges us to welcome darkness, not to be afraid of it or deny it. Darkness, after all, brings relief from the blinding sun, from scorching heat, from exhausting labor. Night, as she wrote, signals permission to rest, to be with our loved ones, to conceive new life, to search our hearts, to remember our dreams. The dark of winter is a time of hibernation. Seeds grow in the dark, fertile earth. As Miss Lewis puts it, the words black, as Miss James put it, the words black and dark don't need to be destroyed or ignored, only balanced and reclaimed in their wholeness. The words white and light don't need to be destroyed or ignored, only balanced and reclaimed in their wholeness. Imagine a world that had only light or dark. We need both, light and dark, dark and light. Now, we certainly don't need pandemics. We don't need pandemics. And I hate that because of the cruelty and ineptitude of our current administration, we are in this horrifying pandemic surge right now in the midst of the winter holidays. I wish our pandemic response had been more like that of Australia or New Zealand, Singapore or Thailand, Taiwan or Iceland or Vietnam. But here we are. Here we are, here in this time, this place, this season. We can wish things were better, work for things to get better, and still not wish our lives away. These next few winter months in particular offer us a challenge. How will we live in ways that keep each other safe, in ways that add beauty and joy and depth to our lives? How will we adapt? How will we get through this? February is still ahead of us. We aren't even there yet. We aren't even out of this calendar year 2020 that has brought us so much grief and difficulty to our lives. But we have arrived at last at winter. This is our darkest season, our longest night. And this season, this night, offers us gifts. The dark of this winter season is an invitation, not just to light candles and put up string lights and hand babies cuddly star-shining toys, but to rest in the darkness, to dream in the darkness, to imagine better even as we are present with what is, to dwell in stories both ancient and whimsical, like the ones Jocelyn shared with us today, to be aware of our connections in different ways. I love the chants we found for this service about being seeds in darkness, about how our bodies, our very beings, are connected to the natural elements and to all life. Earth, our body, water, our blood, air, our breath, and fire, our spirit. And these words land differently than they do in other seasons because the cold and dark change the flow of the elements around us. The natural world slows and stills. Shouldn't we as well? The lives we adapt to winter conditions are still lives worth living, just as the lives of the trees and songbirds and squirrels are still being lived all around us, all winter long. Not that it is always easy to adapt to winter, to this indoor time. After all, it would be an indoor time of year even if we weren't at the height of a raging pandemic for many of us. And even in the best of years, which 2020 has not been, it can be easy to miss the invitations and gifts the winter season offers to instead spend our time looking ahead. We can miss out on where we are if we spend all our energy on where we wish we were. In this winter, this pandemic time, this time of staying physically apart from each other, is not time away from our lives, but a moment in them. Here we are in this season of quiet coziness and chill outdoor air, this year of reinvented and adapted traditions, this dark hour. Here we are. I hope you will use this dark time well for reflection and rest, dreaming and reimagining, stargazing and blanket burrowing, for being the tender, vulnerable human you are. Winter, as Dr. Kimmerer, the director of the Center for Native Peoples and the Environment at the SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry, put it in the New York Times this week, winter is a teacher of vulnerability. This winter, she said, as the coronavirus pandemic consumes the country, it is as though we are reliving the unbuffered winters of our ancestors. We remember this year that often in the past, families have weathered winters apart from each other and far from our loved ones, for safety, staying where they were. We remember that this is far from the first time humans have weathered a flu-like virus that swept through in the winter season. We remember that we have done hard things before, as individuals, as a community, as human beings on this beautiful, brutal, broken planet Earth. This season invites us to live into the reality of death as part of life, of the balance of the seasons and the turning of the wheel. The longest night marks the turn of the seasons towards summer. The same day this country passed 300,000 deaths from COVID, we began the inoculations against the virus. This coming months, reported in that New York Times article, will probably be the greatest public health challenge this nation has ever faced. The coming months will likely be the greatest public health challenge this country has ever faced. And we will face it knowing that we can and will get through it. Spring will come. And for now, we do the work of winter, the work of being vulnerable with ourselves and each other, of moving together through our grief and our heartbreak, not avoiding them and not getting stuck in them, but moving through them. And together and apart, seeking and exploring the deeper truths of our lives. The work of winter is the work of generosity, of mutual support, of love and justice. Together, even as we are apart, we dream a better world into being. Together, even as we are apart, we grow like seeds in the soil, though that growth may not be seen yet above the surface. Together, beloveds, we will get through this. Do not wish your lives away, dear ones. Stay with us, even as we stay apart from each other. Stay safe. Stay apart. Stay connected. We love you. I love you. And please, join me now in singing along to Dark of Winter, this fabulous, beloved song inspired by the Jackie James piece I quoted earlier by my beloved late mentor, Shelley Jackson Denham. Please sing along with me.
Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me. And then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
Whew. I love that we began our service with a recording of that song as sung by our own music director, Hannah Clark, and could close it with this beautiful rendition from two of my esteemed colleagues. A reminder that we are all in this darkness together across this beautiful state of West Virginia and far beyond West Virginia. We are all together as we are apart, connected in the vast interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. We are in this together, even though sometimes we may feel so alone. Dear ones, however you are celebrating this season or not celebrating, whatever grief is on your heart or your mind, whatever joys you are finding, you are enough, just exactly as you are. You are beautiful and glorious and wonderful. I am so grateful for you. You are enough, just as you are, wherever you are. And you are not alone. Blessed be. And we extinguish this candle and this chalice flame, but not the warmth of community or the connection that flows between us all. And at this time, we're going to move. At this time, we're going to move into our Zoom coffee hour. So I'm going to end our Facebook recording. So dear ones who have been with us on Facebook, thank you for joining us for this service. We love you.